What's going on YouTube? Justindezzz back with another video. Not the typical sports gaming video. I want to try to dabble in here and there, so you can see my lovely face and whatnot. And as you can see, my lovely workspace with Star Wars marvels over there, and just a very cool placed outlet and whatnot. That whole outlet's how I do the entire operation. But I just watched The Captain, the first episode, and I figured it kind of inspired me to do a video about my sports fandom and basically an origin story of how I became fans of the sports teams and athletes that I like today. I know it may not be the most exciting video in the world, but I figured, maybe if you know me better as a person, maybe you might like me and the channel a little bit more. So without further ado, let's get into it. So for those who don't know, yes, I'm a Yankees fan. The Yankees has probably been the longest known fandom that I've had for sports. I've flipped teams a couple of times for my sports, but the Yankees, for as long as I can remember, has been the team. I grew up, I'm in New York, like central western New York, near Buffalo, between Buffalo and Syracuse. So like basically where I grew up, it's just Yankee country. Like I think growing up, I only knew like one or two Mets fans, but besides that, it's just Yankees, maybe a Blue Jays fan, and Red Sox. But yeah, it was just Yankee country. And it was just really cool. I remember one of my first sporting games ever was a Yankees game in Baltimore. And that's when my little brother was born, because I still remember on the way down to watch the Yankees in Baltimore, my dad called and was like, hey, your little brother's born and whatnot. And Brian Roberts, the Orioles' second baseman, I think, hit a grand slam, so the Yankees lost. But still, it was just really cool. And I only went to the old Yankee Stadium, I think, once. It was against the Rangers. They got blown out big time. It was like 06, 07 maybe. But I just know Ching-Ming Wong was the pitcher, or he was on the roster. But that's the one fandom that, like, my two brothers, my dad, we could all agree, like, go Yankees. Other than that, we all kind of like butt heads with them. And Jeter's my favorite Yankee and possibly the favorite athlete of all time. He was the first Yankee I ever knew. So there's that. And growing up on my mom's side, her mom, my grandma, was a Yankee fan. My grandpa, my mom's dad, was like diehard Yankees fan. Like I just remember growing up, him just always having Yankee gear and whatnot. And the Yankees were the reason why I loved sports. They were in baseball and whatnot. And my grandma passed away when I was really young, like 2-3 years old, and the only two things I knew about her was she loved the Yankees and her favorite player was Derek Jeter. And not growing up knowing her, I kind of got attached to Derek Jeter because I'm like, that he reminds me of my grandma, because that's one of the few things I knew about my grandma. Never met her, but I knew that she loved Derek Jeter. So I think that's also why the Captain documentary, learning more about Jeter, my favorite athlete, is kind of hitting me a little bit more emotional than it probably should. But I don't know, it's weird to think that a grown man, a man that I'll probably never meet in my life, it's such a memory, or, resembles a person that I never met and I wish I could meet every day. And now that I got the baseball team, we can go and talk about football. So football's interesting. I kind of flip-flop teams for a while. I was young, so for context, my dad is a Cowboys fan. For as long as I can remember. My grandpa on my mom's side was a Giants fan. Wasn't like hardcore football fan like my dad, whatnot. My twin brother, the story goes when he was like 3 or 4 years old, he was like looking through books with my dad and he just randomly landed on the Jets and said, "That's my team." So he's been a Jets fan ever since. And I was originally a Dolphins fan. The first player I ever knew was Dan Marino. My mom had the biggest crush on Dan Marino, had Dolphins gear and whatnot. And then the second player that I ever knew, and I still have the jersey at my parents' house, was a Ricky Williams jersey. So I was kind of a Dolphins fan for a while. And that was when I was like 6 or 7 years old, when I became a Dolphins fan. And then for a while, I didn't claim the Dolphins as my. I was a NFL free agent, and I was kind of a Falcons fan because my school or my town colors, my school colors were black and red and black, and the Falcons were one of the teams that was red and black, and I was like, I want to get all red and black stuff, so let me get a Falcons hat, and I wore it with my school colors and whatnot, and I felt pretty cool. And then I became an Eagles fan. How it went was, it was the first Super Bowl with the Patriots. Again, I didn't really get into sports until I was like watching sports and paying attention was like 9-10 years old. And I was just watching the Super Bowl in 2004. I saw the Eagles cool like wing helmets, and I was like, that's my team. And they've been my team ever since. And for the longest time, I had a superstition where I'd even watch them. But I still watch them here and there, especially against Dallas and whatnot. But I guess I would say my favorite athlete from football ever, probably Calvin Johnson. Dude was a monster. Like when he was playing, I was like in middle school, and I was hitting like a weird growth spurt when I went from like 5'6" to 6'2". And I don't know, just seeing Calvin Johnson just absolutely manhandling people that size, I was like, yeah, that's really cool. And my stepdad was also a Lions fan, so I just grew up on Sundays watching him and Stafford just light it up, even though the Lions are terrible. But he's probably my non-favorite Eagle. But I would say Brian Dawkins. He was a dog, but I didn't really get to watch him. But then I would probably say LaShawn McCoy. Like when I was watching the Eagles, the Chip Kelly era and whatnot, like LaShawn McCoy, I think he's one of the more underrated backs in the 2010s. And he was so shifty, man. I love him to death. But yeah, Shady McCoy and probably Calvin Johnson and Brian Dawkins. Those are my football players and whatnot. But yeah, definitely the peak moment of my sports fandom was the 2017 Super Bowl run against the Patriots. That was crazy. Like, I said to it, and it still hasn't happened, but I said I would sell my sports fandom soul to win a Super Bowl if that means none of my teams ever win a championship, and it's come to tuition so far. So still kind of worth it. But we'll go into basketball. So I guess I'll start NBA. It's kind of short, but it also entwines with my college basketball team. So NBA, I'm a Nuggets fan. I was in second grade, and I had a sleepover for my birthday party. Not friends with this guy anymore. We actually became kind of mortal enemies in high school, but he had a sleeping bag with all the NBA teams, and I just randomly picked the Nuggets. I was like, that's the coolest logo on your sleeping bag, and they became my team. And then he kind of told me about Carmelo Anthony and Melo was the first NBA player I knew, and then I researched where he was from or where he went to school, and he went to school to Syracuse. And then, I also knew I was like 2-3 hours away from Syracuse, so I was like, well, he's my favorite player. I'm gonna like the school he went to. And yes, I like Syracuse Orange for hoops as well. That's probably the most passionate I'm about, besides NFL in terms of research I do and whatnot. Because I did meet Jim Boeheim. I went to his camp. I played against his oldest son, Jim Boeheim, the one who went to Cornell and whatnot. So that was pretty cool. So, and I went to so many games. Like for 5-6 years, my aunt would Christmas gift would just be a game to go to the Dome, and it was a great tradition. So I really fell in love with the Orange. I'd probably say that's like the one sport that I probably watched the most out of all of them. Probably because I just like basketball, and I think college basketball is just more fun than NBA, because NBA, I don't know, I don't know what it is. It's just, maybe it's because they're just better, and I like, me being an average basketball player, watching college kids, it's like, okay, this is kind of cool seeing, a kid drop 30 points instead of just watching Kevin Durant drop 30 a night. Don't get me wrong, it's still fun, but I don't know. I'm just more interested in college because there's more turnover with a roster than NBA, in my opinion. So I'm a Nuggets fan. Melo's my boy, and then Cuse as well. And they're both. And I didn't grow up watching Melo because I was too young to watch Melo in 2003. But a lot of favorites from Syracuse. And also, random fact, I lived like 20 minutes away from when Jim Boeheim grew up, so that was another factor. But I'll briefly do hockey. I'm not a big hockey fan. Yeah, I like the Sabres. I've only went to 1 or 2 Sabres games in my life. Ryan Miller's my man, and Thomas Vanek, if you know, you know. I was kind of in hockey more, like when they had Daniel Pierre and Ryan Miller and whatnot. Haven't really watched them since, or as much, but I still follow them here and there. But I did go to their AHL affiliate, which is like the AAA for hockey, and they were I'm pretty sure they still are, but for a while they weren't, the Rochester Americans. And since I grew up 45 minutes away from Rochester, and I also was season ticket holders, well, my parents were, for Amarks games, I watched a lot of the future Sabres or future NHL players there. So yeah, I grew attached to the Sabres because also the Amarks were basically the AAA affiliate for the Sabres, and I did watch Thomas Vanek on the Amarks slowly become pretty good on the Sabres. Clark MacArthur was my guy. I know some of you don't know hockey, but if you know him, you know him. That was my guy on the Amarks. But honestly, that's it's kind of shorter, and I guess I'll stop. I'll do college football next. So I got 2 teams. One is the Miami Hurricanes. Plain and simple, I think it was like 2003, and I was at my uncle's house, and my uncle had a hoodie with Sebastian on it, and as a 5-6-year-old kid, I was like, whoa, that's a cool looking, like, I don't know, it just draw me, and then I've just been fans of him ever since, literally because of Sebastian. And then I've slowly started to follow Oklahoma, the Sooners, because on my dad's side, I don't even know how many like relatives I have down there. I just know my Uncle Jeff and my Aunt Cindy. Like I could probably make like a 45-minute video just breaking down the Oklahoma side of my family, but they live in Norman, Oklahoma. I had a couple of like second cousins, third cousins go to Oklahoma. My grandma would always wear like Oklahoma gear because my uncle would send it up for us. And so yeah, I kind of just follow Oklahoma more because of like I had family go there and whatnot. Even though if I've never met any of them, or like I met my Uncle Jeff like 4 times in my life. I don't know. To me, it's cool. And also, I just love Baker Mayfield. He was probably like it was also during when Baker was the Heisman. Like I don't know, I just loved him. He was a dog. And Adrian Peterson too. But I know this was random. I know some of you may not watch this, but I don't know. I kind of want to do some more videos, like I said before, where you kind of see my face. So you kind of see the voice, the face connect and whatnot. And, you know, kind of share a little bit more personal-ish stuff. So, you know, you kind of know me as a person, not just a guy who makes sports video game content, but you kind of understand, you know, the guy who runs the channel as well. But let me know, drop down in the comments your favorite sports teams and athletes. If you want to explain why, you can. If not, I'm cool with that. And drop a like on this video. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. But till next video, you guys have a good one. Peace.